So my name is Edward Askham Spencer. I'm here on the BiG Scuba podcast, and we are going to be talking about diving.
Hello and welcome back to the BiG Scuba podcast. My name is Ian. I am one of the co-hosts, and with me is...
Hello, my name is Gemma and I'm the other co-host.
So right from the top, let me tell you, these episodes are sponsored by Andark at 90, and they are beyond technical. Did you know that, Gemma?
Yes, they are, and they're very supportive of the podcast.
They are. Anyway, more about them a bit later. Coming up, we have a guest for you, as always. His name is Edward Askham Spencer, and he's an ex-para. He is a saturation diver.
He's a magician.
Magician too, and afternoon or after drinks entertainer.
Yes, and speaker. So yeah, we connected on LinkedIn, and from that, we got him on the podcast.
Yeah, so we'll be chatting to him in a bit. So we've been doing the usual thing of trying to keep fit and healthy and well, and keep them busy as you do. And what's going on with the weather?
Yeah, it's a bit dull, isn't it?
So speaking to you, Ian, so this is the last one of the year for 2024.
Yes.
Just before we break before Christmas.
Yes, it doesn't mean we're going to disappear. We're going to still be around over Christmas. We'll be re-releasing some older episodes, and then we're back to recording in January. Yeah,
it's good to have a bit of a pause. We've got stuff to work on over the Christmas period, and enjoying a bit of turkey.
Yes, and some
few
time
pigs
with our
in
family.
blankets, and time with family, as you say, and hopefully we might even get some diving in as well with a bit of luck. So,
the pressure comes off work a little bit, and we have some time off.
Bit of a mad time in the fishy world.
It is, yes. So one more week to go. So we've been to our local dive centre Christmas party.
Yeah, that's all good fun.
Yeah, we did that last Saturday, and saw some familiar faces and new faces again.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of new faces there, actually. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, which shows good things, doesn't it? There's new divers out there, and everybody had a great time.
Quite a few of the salty old dogs who we've seen, who I've known for years, they were there.
Yeah,
that's good to see them.
Yeah, we dressed up a bit, didn't we?
Yeah. Dust it down once a year,
and that's it until next year.
And as soon as we get home, hang it all back up.
Yes, so again...
Cling film it till the next time.
Okay, if that's what you do with your clothes. We've also mentioned our sponsors, Andark at 90, and they've just brought out a brand new strobe that is... it's the Pathfinder Gen X.
I actually got quite a bit of chatter going in the week, didn't it?
Yeah, and it's really... bulletproof, impressive, isn't it? It's got different settings on it. It's depth rated to, I think, was it 300 meters?
Yeah, it's but you know, right? So anything that comes out of Andark at night is going to be bulletproof, all right? And we did get somebody go, oh, that's a bit expensive, compared to what, though? Compared to what? Because £300 for something which you're going to use and rely on to get you home again is arguably cheap.
Yeah, and looking at it's cheaper than a dive computer.
Yeah, cheaper than a dry suit.
Yes,
and look at all the work it goes into them, and it's all comparable, isn't it? And it's always cheaper. You can go get something that's mass produced in China, and it costs threepence to make.
Would you say it's more for a technical diver when you've got those different settings?
Not necessarily, because people have them on dive boats. They dangle them underneath a dive boat. So people can see them at night if they're doing a night dive, or the vis ain't particularly good, or sometimes people have them on when they're exploring a wreck, so they know what way to go on the way back on a wreck if the conditions are not particularly that great, or if they're cave diving. At the end of the day, no matter what you're using it for, but what you do want to be able to do is rely on it.
Yes,
that's what's important.
And it had a really good battery life as well.
Because you don't, whether you're down at 10 meters or down at 100 meters, if you're putting that there and you want to know that when you then use it, you want that to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and it will give you the confidence of, you buy it from Nart. It's been very well made, and it's like anything that comes from Nart, and anything that's handmade, engineered today with thought and effort, with spanners and lathes and things like that. It's going to cost.
Yeah.
And that's it. But it will last you the lifetime, and it will last when it's being lumped about in your box and things like that, when and rather than a cheap thing that's made of plastic. And might work a couple of times. And
it's built by very experienced divers, isn't it?
Exactly. Who've done it, who've 30 years in the industry, and know the importance of having dive kit that you can count on and put your life on.
Yeah, exactly. So have a look at the website of Narked at 90, and you'll be able to see the strobe.
It's not too late to get those stocking fillers either.
Stocking stuffers, yes. So we'll be posting more through the week.
Yeah.
What else? So we haven't done much diving, but again, this is an opportunity to look at your equipment.
At the minute you're just trying to get with work and stuff going on with kids and things like that. Just unfortunately,
it's a bit of a busy time.
It is a busy time at the moment. So
So but hopefully we'll be back in the water over Christmas, New Year period, and then get in the water.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think we're going to. I think Nark's going to lend us one of these strobes.
We can test it out in Stony Cove.
Yeah, make some content with it, which would be really cool. So that will be good. And you've got a new camera.
Yes, it's an Insta 360 version 4.
Wow.
So that arrived in the week. So we have got a version 3.
Yeah.
But this looks like it's slightly bigger, and some of the sort of settings are more in-depth. And just more upgraded, really. So it'll be interesting. So we've got the camera, the dive case, we've got a selfie stick. So
the clarity from these 360s is particularly impressive. Really,
it is.
It's all 4K as well.
For such a small, it's kind of GoPro size, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you look at the dimensions, but it's just incredible what's inside it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit weird because as you dive along, you've got this great big selfie stick.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit weird, and but it's good. I think.
I'm
quite
looking forward to getting it set up, and we'll get in the water and
see what it's like.
Yeah, I mean we've done a similar thing when we went to Chesil Cove. We used the 360, didn't we?
Did.
And it was it's really good because it captures all of us together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's come along. We're also tied up with Yeti.
Yeah.
Yeti, they're probably more well known for their drink tumblers and flasks.
They do all sorts of things.
They do coolers. They do a bit of clothing.
Fridges.
Yeah.
All sorts of things.
Renowned for being very robust.
Yeah. Lots of camping stuff. Very good quality. Some of that stuff is quite expensive, but then again, it's all really well made, aren't it?
Yeah, and again,
and it looks good.
Yeah, so there's still chance to get an order in if you're quick.
There is, yeah.
And our Amazon bookstore as well, we've been promoting that. So there's lots of ideas there for the diver or water lover in your life.
Yeah. So go on there and get those orders in before. I don't know when the last post is, but it must be coming up this soon,
week,
hasn't it? Because we've got a clear week this week, and then it's then the
Christmas week.
Christmas. So so that'd be good. What should we also? I better just tell you as well. So one of our previous guests made contact this week and has asked to share. I think we have mentioned this before, but just to remind you, he's got a couple of world record attempts coming up. So we spoke to Shaf Naheem.
Probably 2020.
Yeah, it was a good while ago actually, and it might be good to get him back on at some stage. So he originally did a record in 2022 for being underwater for, I think it was that 50 hours?
Yes, it was a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he seems to be quite enjoying his world records.
Yeah. So he's asked us to share about what he's now doing. So he's got this next one's called Across the Maldives, two world record dive attempts. So phase 1, which is going to happen in February, which is so Shaf and his team will be doing a single dive from Humail to Mali this is in the Maldives, covering a minimum of 14 kilometres to reach the world record.
It's a long way.
That is a long way, isn't it? Mm. Well, then he's doing another one attempt, so again in the Maldives, where Shaf and his team will be travelling from the northern tip to the southern tip, covering 460 kilometres in a month.
Wow. And they're just going to split that up into dives?
Yeah, I think they have to do something like, because they're using scooters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they have to do something like 40 kilometres a day. It's a lot, there's a lot to do. Shaf will be accompanied by a technical team of both locals and internationals who will support his expedition and dives. Additionally, the team will also be collecting scientific research data about the underwater terrain, the effects of climate change, including temperature collection at each point, and the presence of microplastics in the Moldavian ocean ecosystems. There will be planned events and workshops on local islands across the route, where the team will raise awareness about the ocean climate change and their findings through the journey. With the project gathering the attention of both local and global partners, the event team is closely working with the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Defence and Maldives Police Services to plan the dive route for a safe and secure expedition. The event is being promoted internationally by the Maldives Marketing and PR Corporation to engage as large a reach as possible, and us, and to ensure that the beauty of the Maldives is properly showcased throughout. The event has also been featured in multiple dive magazines internationally. So we'll put links in the show notes about this.
We will.
And he's got a GoFundMe page, which is what I'm reading from, where you can donate. And it's all kicking off in February. So look him up. You can find him he's on social media.
Yeah, he's on Instagram, definitely.
So look him up and give him a follow.
Yeah, we'll pop a story on our social media over the week with the link so that you can take a look and maybe donate.
Yeah, that'd be good. Someone doing something good for good causes.
Yeah, exactly.
Who else do we need to...
I think we've covered everything. Anything apart from your medal win.
Oh, hardly mentioned it. You hardly know.
So we're big fans of dive fitness and keeping fit ourselves in our bodies and our heads. And Ian's big into CrossFit and I like the running side. But you did a competition.
I did do a competition yesterday. So every year, my CrossFit box, that we like to call it, gym, runs a competition, a friendly competition within our gym, and we all say, we're going to be part, and Phil, who's the main coach, organises, puts us into teams.
Yes,
and,
teams of 4 this time, wasn't it?
Teams of 4, yeah. There was 8 teams, and we do various WODs through the day. So there's 4 WODs, and then the overall winners, 3 teams, then go compete through a final one where there's a winner.
Yeah, the outcome is...
Yeah, and we won.
I know.
So our team name was Gold, Frankincense, Myrrh and Megan. I changed the name slightly to Old because...
Why did you do that?
Because Sean, who's in our team, was the oldest.
You're the second oldest.
Possibly.
But it was very, very impressed.
To win something. And to be fair, Megan and Harry, the other two in the team, were just awesome, amazing, and super fit at what they done, and it was really good. And we never thought we'd win at all.
Well,
we just thought we'd make up numbers.
Underestimated yourself. But it shows, never have any boundaries, because you never know where it can go.
No, definitely. And what I say, thanks to Phil for organising. Thanks to AJ who helped referee, and thanks to my teammates, so Megan, Harry, and Sean, who made up our team. And we won.
It was very good, and there were plenty of videos. I'm sure there'll be a post about it.
I'll share about it a bit later. I've not done it yet.
Part. And then you even managed to run with me this morning.
So done 3K, didn't we?
Yeah. So that's all helps with.
And I'm not a natural runner.
You did very well.
I'm not a natural runner at all.
No.
CrossFitters don't particularly like runners.
No, but there we go. But
sorry, let me word that again. CrossFitters don't particularly like running so much. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but we're doing something, and something is better than nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And highly recommend. Even if it's going out for a walk, it's just good to get out there.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yep. So that's probably summed up our last couple of weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It'd be good to get back in the water. I look forward to getting in the water, hopefully over the Christmas period once we down tools. It's been a busy few weeks.
Yeah,
really.
I think Matt Rivet, one of our friends of the podcast, he's there today, so it'd be interesting to hear about how the visibility is. And
I've certainly got some plans for next year for diving. I think. I would like to learn how to do side mount. I think I really enjoyed doing that at the Go Dive show. I know we have said that before, but family and life and things all sometimes happen.
It's not just something you can pick up and do, is it? It's just you've got to travel and you've got to commit the time. So and we've got our day jobs to do and run a podcast as well.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, which we manage. So
we've got plans for that next year. It's been a good year, isn't it?
It has,
really?
yeah. And so you've got more exciting stuff ahead next year.
Yeah. Well, I think we are going to do a review, aren't we? Like in the new year, we'll look back on 2024.
Yeah.
But it's been a good year, and we want to say thank you to everyone who's stuck with us and listened to us on a regular basis.
Yeah, we'll be the grand old age of 5 in February.
My goodness, yeah.
5 years. So definitely worth celebrating.
It is. And we want to say thank you to Nart, who been with us for now, 2-3 years now. And we love having them on board, and they're a great company and one of the best names in the diving world. So
yeah, you can rely on them.
People do. People do. And we do. So, absolutely.
Right, we'd better get Mr. Edward Askham Spencer.
Yes, get him on. Let's get him on.
So we recorded this a couple of days ago, and it was really nice chatting to him. So this is Edward Askham Spencer. Excellent. Welcome to the BiG Scuba podcast.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So straight away, we want to ask you, and thank you for joining us and giving us some of your time. And straight away, first question up we like to ask is, what does being underwater mean to you?
So that's quite a good question. I'm a professional diver as well as a recreational diver. So a lot of my professional time I spend underwater, and with that, it means providing a service and getting paid, paying the bills, supporting the family. But recreationally, it's an opportunity for escape and adventure. So when I go to work, it's quite often it's a challenging environment. The visibility is not always where you'd like it to be.
No.
I'm on the underneath side of a ship or inside of a oil rig platform, doing various maintenance, welding, cutting, burning, that sort of thing. Not always in oil and gas, I should say, but and when I'm doing that, I like the the challenge and the technology that's sort of got me to that point. And you can't always go. You can basically never go off and explore and do the things that you want to do as a recreational diver when you're when you're commercial diving. And because of that, the freedom I get when I can go and do recreational diving, there's nothing like it. You know, when I describe it to people that don't dive, I say it's like flying. It's like you are Superman or Superwoman. You know, you can control your elevation in the water column, and you can take it wherever you want to go. You know, you can go into caves, you can go up to the roof and explore everything there, and have a vantage point that is, you know, hundreds of meters below you. If that's your depending on the dive location that you go to. But no, the opportunity to see something exciting is my interest for recreational diving, I'd say. And professionally, it's something that I enjoy doing. I'm without trying to sound big-headed or anything, I'm quite good at it. So I do that as my job and get enjoyment from that as well. So
yeah, that's great. So what got you first into recreational diving?
Right. It was 2007. I had just passed out into the 3rd Battalion of the Parachute Regiment, and we were going to go off to Afghanistan the following year. I was actually on the Army swimming team at the time and had quite a bit of free time during the day after training. So I thought, I'll go down to Andark diving and water sports on the south coast near Southampton, and try scuba diving. And I loved it so much that I went out. I got a bank loan. I went back to the shop. I bought all the gear. I went across the road and I bought a boat.
Wow.
I got hit hard.
You really got into
hard.
it.
Yeah. We did. We went through the course, and then a friend of mine, I think, had already done his Padi open water in Australia with his family. This is going back a few. So spoke to him, and he came out with me on the boat and would dive. I think one of the first dives I did was Spitsand Fort in the Solent, just off of Portsmouth.
Right.
And the Solent is notorious for bad visibility. And I jumped in and I saw about 9 meters. And I was thinking, oh man, I was expecting to have like crystal clear sea for 30, 40, 50, 100 meters. You know, it's nothing like all these videos I've seen and pictures in magazines and stuff. I didn't actually realize at the time how good 9 meters of viz in the Solent is. Yeah. Normally, you're lucky if you've got like 50 centimeters, and I had 9 meters. Anyway, I'm on the bottom and looking around. I'm picking up these really old bottles. I'm not really aware of anything about them, so I leave them where they are. Finish the dive and come up. Anyway, fast forward to last year, and there's a half Russian / Ukrainian chap that lives in Germany, where I currently am, and he collects these old bottles. And I said, "Why do you do that?" He said, "Oh no, they're collector's pieces. They're like really valuable." And I've been swimming past, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 or 20 of these really old, sand worn, hand blown glass bottles. And
wow.
I'm like, I need to get back down there. Yeah. I mean, that's just sort of one example, but I mean, there's, what do they say? Shipwrecks are time capsules. Nothing changes on them from the date that they go down. I mean, they get broken up and stuff, but the artifacts that remain, they are a glimpse into the past of that point. And the idea of being witness to it, or discovering something for the first time or whatever like that, I think is it's exceptional. And that's one of the things I would really like to endeavor to do more. Yeah. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. Yeah. So from there, did you dive other places overseas?
Right. Yeah. So what did I do? I did a couple of dives in, I think up at Vobster, up at Chepstow. I joined a BZAC club in Basingstoke. Again, I think that was in 2009 after I got back from Afghanistan. But I also went to South Africa, and I walked into a scuba diving shop there, and they had just this brand new imported Quest i3 BCD. And instead of having the usual buoyancy inflated tube, it's got this little lever on the side.
That's what I had.
And I tried it. I liked it. So I was like, okay, I'll buy it. I think it was about 300 pounds at the time, which is probably a little bit more expensive than it would have been in the UK, but it wasn't available in the UK at that time. I don't know how this shop had managed to get hold of it first, but they did. And my 2-week trip, I ended up extending to become a 3-week trip, because I went with a couple of the guys from the scuba shop for a shore dive just around the back of Table Mountain on a wreck called the SS Clan Stewart. It's probably, they say it's 50 meters, but I think it's probably closer to 130 meters off the shore. And there's not much of it left, but you can find these lumps of coal that have been that are still there. And one of the local guys picked up what I thought was a chain link and handed it to me. And I was expecting it to be heavy, because it was about the size of a dinner plate. And I grabbed hold of it, and it was firm, but it was also a little bit soft.
All right.
And this metal chain link actually turned out to be a shy shark. So a shy shark it's a shark that, when it is startled by predators, it will wrap its tail around and cover its eyes, but it will form a complete loop.
Wow.
And I held on to it, realized that that there's a fin dangling out the bottom and a little color patch and another color patch, and look, there's a fin on the top. So I just hold on to it until it untethers itself, and it's just got its tail in the current, and I'm like, oh my goodness, hello. And being more gentle with it, after realizing what it was that I'm holding, I just sort of guided it off to some kelp, and it swam off.
Wow.
But I thought that was incredible. Now, I don't actually advocate grabbing hold of wildlife. This guy handed me what I thought was a chain, and it turned out to be a bloody shark. But not dangerous, but it's actually more for the animals' welfare. I think we should keep our hands to ourselves as best we can for that. But I thought that was a special moment. And when we surfaced, maybe 400 or 500 meters away, there were 3 right back whales breaching.
Wow.
And I could hardly see it. We saw sort of the puff of the top of the mist coming out of the blowhole, but swam back into shore. And by the time we were on the beach, which was probably a good 5 minutes later, with all the kit at the end of the dive being quite tired, by the time we were at the shore, these whales were on our dive site doing breaching. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Sounds an amazing place to go, South Africa. We've had
it is, yeah.
Yes, in the past that said, yeah.
I also did the cage diving with the great whites. I asked if we can go out of the cage scuba diving in a location, and they said no. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fair enough. I didn't ask why not.
Yeah,
I figured that would be quite obvious, but I I'm fascinated by sharks. Like they're a really special animal.
Yeah. No, pretty awesome. And you, so you've got quite a list on your CV of the commercial side you've done as well.
Yeah,
So,
a little bit.
Saturation diver, coded wet welder,
Yeah,
3.1 and 3.2 inspection diver, experienced subsea burner. The list goes on: DMT, rigger, shipwright, and joiner, and so you've done a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When I left the army, I didn't really know what it was that I was going to do. I went up to London for a little bit, working in a Cotswold outdoor shop.
Yeah.
And I was quite into. I'd sort of stopped diving at that point because it is an expensive hobby, and I think I was on earning I think about 850 quid a month, and my rent in London was 800 quid a month. So I had a fantastic diet. I was in the best shape of my life. But yeah, couldn't afford to be into diving. So I was more into sort of rock climbing and bushcraft at that point in my life. Until a friend said, I'm stopping working in Iraq. Let's go to Malta and do a maritime security course and get into the anti-piracy work, which is kicking off. So I thought, okay, that sounds interesting. It's similar to my skill set of military, and it's on the sea, so that'd be fun. And off we go to Malta. We did the course, and then I started work doing maritime security, defending ships in the Indian Ocean from piracy attacks.
Quite exciting.
I mean, it sounds exciting, but really, it's not.
Couple of 50 cows.
Well, if it's exciting, that's a bad day. You don't want it to be exciting, and the problem is the money fell out of the bottom in the industry. Everybody sort of started going and doing it, and then we ended up being abandoned by the company, left in Mauritius.
No way.
We've obviously got weapon systems, ammunition, and everything. And then all of a sudden, we don't have a company that's backing us up anymore. We don't have the visas. We don't have paperwork for the weapon systems to take them out of the country. Any of it. It ended up being a really bad situation. Until then, I would say it was a good experience because I would get to go to like Oman, Fujairah, Mauritius, Djibouti. Okay, maybe not so nice, but Colombo on Sri Lanka. And whenever it was, you're going to be here for 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever, I would take the opportunity to find a dive club or shop, go down there and get a dive in. So saw a couple of reef sharks. The water it wasn't severely murky, like not to a dangerous point, but just enough to obscure a sort of 30-meter distance. You could see the outline of a little shark, but nothing in detail and up close. But still, you buy your ticket, you take your chance, don't you? Every time. And that time they were just a little bit too far out. Still saw them, just not up close like I would have liked.
But still a good dive though. If you see.
Yeah, it was sort of a rocky outcrop. It was another shore dive. This is Fujairah. So it was a rocky outcrop, probably 75 meters off the beach. So nice, easy swim. And did see a turtle. Saw quite a few little bits. And then when we got back in and I went home eventually, I decided that that was it for the maritime security. I'm going to get into diving. Now, I'd already looked into commercial diving as a job and spoken to a few people, and they said, "Oh yeah, it's really expensive to learn." And at the time, with the wage packet that I'm earning, I figured it'd take too long to save up, and didn't really think any more about it. Anyway, fast forward until 2013, and I go back to Andark, and they put me through my HSE Scuba, so the entry-level commercial diving. And I go to work around Portsmouth for RS divers doing hull scrubs, like cleaning the bottom of ships, doing anode changes and that sort of thing. Come towards the summer, and there's an opportunity to go to Australia to do my HAT course, my service-supplied helmet course. So I've got one here.
One you made earlier.
Here's one I made earlier. Lovely Blue Peter reference. This is a band mask. So there's a rubber band on the back. You've got like a soft hood, but essentially the regulator, the free flow, your gas switching block to reserve. It's basically all the same on this as it is on a hard hat. It's just this goes on arguably quicker, and tends to use for standby divers.
Okay.
In the commercial world.
What brand of?
So that's by Kirby Morgan. Kirby Morgan do. They are basically the industry leader of commercial diving hardware. Their hats are used in every corner of the world by any reputable company, and perhaps a few non-reputable companies, but we'll focus on the reputable ones. Kirby Morgan is basically the industry standard that everyone uses, and their stuff's bomb-proof. It's quality stuff.
So you actually qualified in Australia then?
I did. So I went to the only reason why I actually went to Australia to do it was because the course in Fort William was booked up for, I think, 6 or 7 months. There was a course in France, and that was not available at all. You had to pay a deposit, and they'll call me back, and I wasn't up for that one. So I went to Australia sort of 2 weeks later, joined the course, and one of the people that worked at the company spoke to me, and it actually turned out that he was in the army and from Portsmouth. So me and him had quite a lot of interactions, and he actually put me up for the duration of my course because I hadn't planned it the best. I was like, I'll sofa surf or rent a car and sleep in the back or something. It wasn't hadn't fully thought it through, but ended up he put me up. His wife cooked me dinner, and on the weekend they lent me the car. Went exploring around Fremantle and Perth, and it was really cool.
This episode is brought to you by Narked at 90, the cutting-edge pioneers in the world of diving equipment. Meet the founders, John Routley and Brent Hudson, who have logged thousands of mixed gas dives over the past 3 decades. About 20 years ago, these experienced technical divers combined their passion for diving and engineering skills to create Narked at 90. Whether you're new to diving and ready to take it up a notch, have a fair amount of experience, or are considering a transition into technical diving, we highly recommend Narked at 90. They're ready to advise on the best equipment and setup for your personal and commercial needs. Narked at 90 also has extensive hands-on experience with shearwater and ratio dive computers, being the longest-serving UK service centre for these brands. They're ready to offer technical support, servicing, repairs and upgrades for all shearwater and ratio computers past and present. In addition to shearwater and ratio, Narked at 90 stocks and supports many other brands such as DiveSoft, JJCCR, Hollis, Revo and Kiss rebreathers. The diving community is always enthusiastic about Narked at 90, and it's easy to see why. Here are just a few reasons. Full head servicing for rebreathers from various manufacturers, bespoke cable assemblies, advice on specific fitting requirements, suggestions and guidance for home builds. computer laser cutting and engraving, CNC milling and turning, pressure testing to simulate 400-metre dives. We're thrilled to partner with Narked at 90, a company that has ignited so much passion for diving and has been incredibly supportive and innovative in producing and selling dive equipment. Visit narkedat90.com to see why they're a renowned name in diving. Stay updated on their insights and offers by following them on social media. Just search for Narked at 90 on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and hit that follow button.
I actually saw on the course, I saw a seahorse, and it was probably about 18 centimeters long. And I was like, oh, that's a cute little thing. And it wasn't till probably 6 months ago that I was watching something on Discovery Channel that most seahorses are about the size of a 20p piece.
They're tiny.
So for me to see one that's, like almost 20 centimeters long, like at the time I didn't realize, the significance of it. But I was like,
must have been quite rare.
Probably. I mean, I don't know if it was down to the species or what, but my knowledge on seahorses is not very good.
Yeah. So as a commercial diver now, do you travel everywhere in the world, or have you got kind of set places?
Yes. So we'll go back to just after I qualified with the hard hat and umbilical surface supply. I had a job out in Dubai. We were doing some work on a rig there, which was my first time offshore, and that was in 2014. Wow. And then there was a little bit of a downturn with the offshore diving industry. So I've sort of focused more on inshore work for basically maintenance of ships in the Royal Navy, which was quite a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then I got back into the parachute regiment as a reservist. So I would spend quite a bit of time doing exercises with them. And the other time that I had free was spent diving down in Portsmouth, Southampton area. But you've got to renew your tickets like every 2 years and 4 years and 5 years, depending on what the ticket is. And basically, I let mine lapse because there wasn't much going on. And I went on selection for the SBS in 2016, and I came off with a knee injury. And it wasn't obviously wasn't my intended course of action to go back into diving at that point. It was because I put all my eggs in this basket. So I rehabbed the knee. I went to Canada. I tracked down a First Nation guy called Pinnock Smith, who did a piece with Ray Mears where he teaches him how to build a birch bark canoe. I got him to teach me, and we built a birch bark canoe together.
Nice.
A year later, I go back on selection, get myself fit again, and I slip a disc in my back, and I can't walk for 9 months. And that was in March 2017. It basically train wrecked my whole military ambition. And a family friend ended up dragging me along to a magic club. I didn't want to go, but I went along and started getting into magic. Then when I'm looking at all the famous magicians and everything, I come across David Blaine, who does his legendary breath hold, where he becomes a Guinness World Record holder, holding his breath for like 17 minutes or something. And I find out later it's a specific category of breath holding. So he's inhaled and saturated his system with oxygen. Yeah. And then he gets in, it's quite cool water, and his body slows down and he relaxes, and essentially he holds his breath, gets a world record, and goes on the Joe Rogan experience and talks about it. Like, okay, that's quite interesting. but 2020 happened. All live entertainment stopped.
Yeah.
We weren't able to. Diving sort of actually started to pick up at that point,
Right.
because of the military necessity for keeping the ships going and strategic defense and everything. So I put that hat back on, get in the water, and I start doing a bit more diving. Well, we just had our first son, Leon, and I'm doing a little bit of boat building on the side. I'm doing quite a bit of diving and not very much magic. Well, we decided that we were going to move back to Germany at the earliest convenience. So, end of 21, my fiance and our boy moved over to Germany, and then early in 2022, I followed. And then the following year, our second boy joins us. He was 2 months old at the time, and there was an opportunity to go and do my saturation diving over in Norway. So I asked my missus, would you be up for me getting into this and doing that? It's where I'd like to have steered my career 10 years ago, but every excuse under the sun, it didn't happen. Yeah. Now everything's sort of lined up. I'd had 2 years of constant work in Germany, inshore diving, and then this opportunity came up. So I was like, I'm up for it. You up for it? She said yes. So I go over to Norway. I qualify with the saturation diving. Actually, part of the Norwegian course, they take you down to Marseille in the south of France, and you do the deep dives there because there's a saturation system that the school in Norway rents.
Okay.
So we did that, and I am qualified at the end of September, early October, and then I'm looking for work again now, back offshore. And I figure, right, well, actually, what commercial diving is it's your bus ticket or your train ticket. It's your taxi ride to the job site. Once you're actually on the job site, be it on a rig or on the seabed or wherever, you're not actually qualified to do very much at all. I mean, you can use a couple of spanners or a hammer or some cleaning equipment, but you can't weld unless you're qualified as a welder. You can't inspect anything or officially take photos as part of an inspection for like official engineers' reports unless you're qualified. Right. You can't search for damage unless you're qualified again. If you are lifting anything, technically you should be qualified in rigging. So for this last year, I've basically not had that much work actually come in because I've had to say I'm not available because I'm doing all these courses. Yeah. And in this past year, I've qualified another 2 codes in welding, inspection diver 3.1, inspection diver 3.2, and underwater rigger. So
yeah.
That's awesome, isn't it? That's just...
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to take on, and it's a lot of work to say no to as well, because it's, as a freelancer, everything is individually funded. You rarely get a company fund you for any of it. So yeah, I'm hitting the ground running next year. Let's say that.
Good. Yeah, that's good.
So have you got all your tickets that you want to get for the moment, and then you just take on
for the moment? Yes. I'd actually like to get an RAV ticket as well. So for those of you listeners that don't know, an RAV is a remotely operated vehicle. So I'd stay on the surface with like a game controller, and it would control a submarine or drone that would fly around underwater, looking at where I'm telling it to go.
Yeah.
There seems to be quite a lot of, a lot of survey work with them now, isn't there? Especially in deep waters.
Yeah. There was concern probably 5 years ago that ROVs are going to take over from having divers, but it's actually not been the case. Like ROVs have got their own scope of work, and because of what they're capable of doing, is actually increased the work for divers. So it's actually quite a nice partnership. So after I've just done a tech course where I learn how to maintain the hats, like the one I've just shown you. But the course that I'd like to do next is the ROV pilot and technician's course. That'd be quite interesting, I think.
Yeah.
But that'll be out of next year's pay packet.
Yeah, but it's not cheap, all this stuff. So where's all this come from then? So you're, because I've noticed that in the back there you've got a Das Boots picture up.
Yeah,
you've got Union Jack one side, which I really like, and also Das Boot, and it's a very famous series and film.
Yeah. So what I actually found out recently was the 1980s film wasn't actually a film. It was a series that then got cut into a film and released in America and the UK. But fantastic film, shot really well. It holds up even today. But I would say in 2020 I went over to Kenya with the Paratrooper regiment to provide security at the camp during the COVID, because there weren't exercising troops traveling because it was deemed not necessary. So the camps that were there no longer had security details to secure them. So they asked the Parachute Regiment guys, are you available and do you want to do it? I put my hand up and I'm out there, and I think we were meant to be there for about 3 months before somebody else gets relieved, but I was actually only there for 1 month because my dad got diagnosed with cancer, and then 6 days later died. So
Sorry
they couldn't. Thank you. It was a bit of a shock. So they couldn't fly me out to where he lived in Indonesia. So they just sent me home to be with my family. And I'm feeling sorry for myself for a few weeks, and I'm scrolling around on YouTube and playing chess a lot, not really being very productive. And all of a sudden, I come across a remote-controlled submarine, and I thought, oh, that's fun. I remember when Dad used to take me from where we lived in Fareham down to the Submarine Museum in Gosport.
Yeah.
We'd walk around the submarine there, and after that we'd go up to the model boat lake and see the yachts going around and the motorboats. And then it was quite a feeling of nostalgia, if you like. So I thought that might be a nice thing to do to reminisce and pay tribute and whatever. So I decided I'm going to build a submarine. I start looking at all these videos on model remote control submarines that go underwater. And what they've done is they've taken the soundtrack from Das Boot and a shaky GoPro, and they've got this submarine passing by, like this GoPro, and it actually holds up. It looks really good. And I figure, I could do that. Like I've also worked a little bit in TV and film. Right. So I'm in The Crown. I'm in Marvel's Black Widow with Scarlett Johansson and Olga Korolenko.
What, as an actor or
as an extra? So
extra. Okay.
As an extra, yeah. So the scene where Churchill has passed away and is getting his coffin carried through London. Fun fact: the gun carriage that his coffin is on is the actual gun carriage that towed Churchill back in the day.
Oh wow!
And Netflix had secured it for the filming, and I think there's 4 of us at the front, and I am as you look at it, I am center right. So there's I think the third in line, third on the front row. If you
it's quite a claim.
And I'm there for about a tenth of a second, so be quick, be fast with the pause button. Yeah, so it's not it's just fun. Anyway, going back to the submarine, I decide that it'll be a fun thing to build. It'll be a nice tribute to my dad, and basically I get into everything submarines. So I find the film, or I've watched that probably once or twice a week. Looking up lots of these videos on how to make a tiny little remote control submarine fire a torpedo out, ways to film it. So I've actually got lighting, microphones, cameras dotted around, that I'm using here for this. Yeah. But actually, I bought it all because I'm in the process of writing the story and building the scenery for doing this submarine film. So,
nice.
Yeah.
You are a man of variety.
Oh God, yeah. It's painful. My poor missus. Yeah.
So was your dad a submariner as well?
Yes, he was. Dad, he was 25 years in the Navy. And I think 23 of them were on submarines. So he was on the diesel electric boats, which they had during the war.
Yeah.
His ones were post-war, but basically the same technology, just a couple of generations on. He didn't do the nuclear boats. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you're following in good footsteps then.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. When he left the Navy, he went and worked offshore, and we missed him terribly. But he had this old, very old, thinking about it now, tape recorder, and he would take it into one of the saturation diving systems. Now, when you're saturation diving, you have got your body under pressure, and you live under that pressure. But because of the different depth that you're actually operating at, you have to breathe a special mix of gas. So the gas is mixed with helium, oxygen, and a very, very small amount of nitrogen. Now, normally what we're breathing here is nitrogen and oxygen, but in saturation, you don't want that much nitrogen. You can't cut it out completely because if you're going quite deep, you can get something called HPNS, like high pressure nervous syndrome. It basically isn't a good thing to do. So what they do is they put a little bit of nitrogen, but it's the helium. Now, if you've ever seen one of those balloons that float, and you take it off the string, and you untie the knot, and you talk like Mickey Mouse for about 30 seconds. But in saturation diving, they talk like that all the time because they're constantly breathing that mixture of gas. So all of our family have got like nicknames for each other. So Dad had got the divers to start talking using all of our nicknames, saying "Hello, Rupert, hello," and my brother and sister and everything. And that really stuck with me. I thought, that was, thinking back now, I'm like, that's a nice touch. At the time, I just thought, oh, that's fun, But actually understanding where it comes from, him being isolated from the family to go away and work, and yet still putting the effort in to do these sort of things, I thought it was really, really nice. And his background as a ship's diver, as a submariner, and then offshore, it sort of struck a bit of a chord with me, I guess. Yeah. I like the challenge of being able to do something that most people probably haven't even heard of. I was doing an anode placement, and it was a bolted anode, and you literally couldn't see the light from the helmet. So on your helmet, you've got a hat light that comes down, and the water is just black. You cannot see anything. We had probably 1.5 knots of current, so you're getting pushed sideways. But to put this anode, clamp it on both sides of this shaft, slot a nut through, wind the bolt on, and then do that 4 times, holding the nut on one side, the bolt on the other, and operating the tools whilst getting pushed sideways. It sounds horrendous to probably most of the population, but for me, like being asked to get in there and do it, I'm like, yes, it's a
good challenge.
It is a good challenge. It is a good challenge.
Yeah. You've got to be a certain character, I think, to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've been trying to get my missus to come with me for scuba diving, and she's like, "No, if I can't see the bottom, I'm not going to dip a toe." I was like, "Okay, fair enough."
So magic, where did the you mentioned magic as well?
Yeah,
we've had a scuba magician on a while back as well, which actually became a Padi specialist.
Yeah. He was on quite near the beginning. I can't even remember his name now.
It was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he was a proper underwater magician.
Yeah.
Underwater
he'd do tricks to keep his. So when they were doing like safety stops with students, he'd do tricks with like bands and things like that to entertain students.
Yeah,
and to do on your safety stop.
Yeah, I mean, you've got nothing else to do but sit there and off gas, right? So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So I got into magic back in 2018. It was kind of by accident, and I didn't want to go to a magic club. I didn't want to get involved with it because, as you've already sort of recognized, I've got a lot of interests that occupy my time, and I didn't want another one to become just an interest. So when I went there, it was basically to shut up a family friend because I wasn't interested at all. And then when I actually got there, it turned out to be a bunch of professional guys getting together, swapping advice on performance, on business, on marketing, and they said about these are the things that you want to start with. This is where you sort of want to take it to. Don't rush. Make sure that you're good, and you'll get booked. So let's give this a go. So I spent about 9 months of my life locked away practicing everything, and I was busking. I was on the street in Fareham, which is a town that I grew up in near Portsmouth, and a couple walked past, and I was mid-routine, and they carried on. But I had a good little crowd around me, and about 10 minutes later, they walked past again, and I noticed them looking over. So I waved them over to come and be a part of it, and they watched the rest of the set. And at the end of it, they said, "We've been looking for something for our wedding. Now we've spoken to a band, we've spoken to another magician, we've spoken to a couple of other performers, but we'd actually really like you. We've seen how you interact with everyone, and I thought, okay, this is this at this point, I've now got the confidence to look at this from a business perspective." And they gave me my first wedding booking. Now I didn't actually perform at their wedding until I think about 1.5 years later. It was quite an advanced booking, but they paid my asking fee, and they had a good time. I had a good time, and because of that vote of confidence, I suppose, their trust in me to perform, I went on to do bigger and more of these things. in 2019, I put on 3 big shows that I was looking at taking into the momentum from that into 2020, and then obviously COVID hit, so all entertainment stopped. I tried doing a little bit of online performance, but I hated it. So I thought I'm not going to do this. If I'm doing something, I have to do it because I like it, not just because it's a paycheck. So I basically stopped doing the online bits and waited until everything started up again, which came. I've done HMS Audacious. They have a rowing team that go and row across the Atlantic every year.
Wow.
This year, they've either just started or they're just about to start. It's the first time an all-women's crew are doing it. So come on, girls.
Wow.
Let's give this a good
and
go.
And they're rowing across the Atlantic.
They're rowing across the Atlantic. But I saw, because HMS Audacious is one of the British nuclear submarines.
Yeah.
And my connection through Dad to submarine, I thought, I'll get in touch with a guy that's organising this after I saw a post on Instagram and offer my services as a magician and related to the submarine service through my dad and ex paratrooper and everything.
That's awesome.
For the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years, I've been up in the Painted Hall in Greenwich, and this year, Princess Anne, so King Charles's sister, the attending dignitary, and I performed magic for her. And
wow!
It's just a very, very random route in life to go, but it takes you to quite a few interesting places.
Yeah.
Brilliant,
incredible, yeah. So, well, you can, I suppose, while you're in your saturation, you can do magic tricks and
card tricks.
Yeah, all of that. The guys tend to really enjoy it. They're not expecting it. Like life offshore, you're away from home. Days are long. Weather's quite often either ridiculously hot in that part of the world, or quite often miserably cold. So there's rarely anything to be overly happy about.
It's good to be busy.
So, if there's downtime, from weather and we can't dive, then we have to occupy ourselves. Go to the gym, watch movies, read a book. But my last trip, I started. I've always liked reading, but I've never been a fast reader. But on my last trip, I was going through about 400 pages every 2 days. I was like,
wow.
Yeah, it was a couple of good books.
Yeah.
Wow. So what does the future hold for you? Have you got sort of some jobs lined up, or?
Yes, I'm about to go back out to Saudi Arabia in January. That's as a air diver and welder. So I'll be on site as a welder for them, as in subsea welding, not on the surface.
But that's not like saturation, so you'll be up and down.
So, yes, that'll be up and down, always returning to surface. I am looking to get my first job as a saturation diver. Being quite newly qualified with that, I haven't had that slot open up for me yet. But I remain hopeful. That's kind of the point of doing all of these courses and then taking the jobs that I'm now qualified in as a 3.2 inspection diver or as a welder or as a technician, because all of a sudden, if you're on the job and somebody's got a toothache or an earache or a medical or family emergency, they will take that person out, and then the team will be deficient. And if I'm there, if I'm on site, I'm qualified and I'm ready to go, then that's
why not?
Going back to my parachute regiment days, it's a bit cheesy, but to be ready for anything is the parachute regiment motto. So
it's the way to be.
If I'm if I apply that to this, then hopefully it'll pay off.
Yeah. No, it sounds exciting, and what a variety. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's far from mundane.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way life should be, isn't it? Yeah. You've got to.
Well, I think so.
Fill the moments, and
Yeah.
So.
But you asked what the future holds. I would love to start my own dive company. Probably a few years away at the moment. I want to get some work under my belt, but I'd like to focus on salvage and historic finds. So I'd like to work closely with archaeologists, and preserve things that we find for museums and future generations. I think Robert Ballard, who found Titanic, and Mel Fisher that found the Atosha's treasure off of Florida. Like these people, their names will live forever. And I think if you've got the interest, got the passion, got the capability, then why not go for it? So
Well, that kind of brings us into the next question. Really, it's like, is there anyone in history you'd want to take diving?
Oh,
if we said to you, what 3 people would you take diving? Who would you take?
I would really like to take one of the early pearl divers from Greece. Now, they are it's more of a job title than a specific person, but they would go down, they'd hold their breath for 5 minutes, or probably maybe even closer to 10 minutes with training back then. And I would love to take them from that perspective to modern day and show them, look what is available. Like, look what you. That's one, because it's from them that people have carried on going, under the sea. They've found need to go in underwater. Like salvage divers have gone in to find cannons and recover treasure and remove obstacles and stuff. But they've sort of looked back at how the pearl divers did it. So to take like generation 1 and bring them to today and say, look, this is what we've come, and where we've come to now is based on what we know from what you were doing back then. I think that would be a really interesting conversation to have. That's the first one. The second one, it's got to be my missus. She doesn't want to go underwater at all. And
snorkel?
Nope. No. And I would love to show her, just give her the ability, go and have a look, get comfortable. I mean, I don't think it's a never. I just don't think it's anytime soon. We've got small kids, and I think holiday time would be too stressful and too valuable to try and convince her. So it would be a case of I'll try again in a few years when the kids are a bit bigger.
That's fair enough.
And you could do it all together then, couldn't you? You might have 2 little ones that are really keen to.
I think the 2 little ones are going to be dead up for it. So and that's actually a hope of mine. I would have loved to have worked with my dad, and I didn't get the opportunity to, unfortunately. But maybe there'll be a chance for me and my boys. That's a hope. And person number 3. It's a difficult question. We were in when we were in Afghanistan. That we had a shura. Now, a shura was like a meeting of people from the local village and the military officials to say, look, come in and do. We're we're going to occupy this area, and you assist us, and we'll help defend your area. But during one of these Shuras, the screensaver on a projection screen behind it, the guys, came on, and the screensaver was a whale, and it was a whale swimming around. Now, these people had never ever seen an ocean. Right. Afghanistan's a landlocked place, and they'd never seen an ocean. They didn't know what an ocean was. They didn't know what a whale was, and I don't know, the idea of taking somebody completely out of what it is that they are currently aware of, and broadening their horizon, slipping beneath the weight. I just think that would be something ultra special, like a really cool experience for them. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be a famous person, but just somebody that has never seen anything like that.
Well, and especially as a landlocked country, that it's hard for us to imagine as
as islanders,
to imagine not ever seeing a sea, ocean, or a beach. It's just it's such a weird feeling. Yeah,
I remember being on a vessel, and we were doing, this was during my maritime security, but I was quite into my rock climbing at the time, and I was reading a book about the guys that first climbed the Troll Wall, which is like a mile-high lump of granite in Norway in 1960 something. Wow. But before they climbed it, like the summer before, they were whaling out in South Georgia. It had a different. It was viewed differently back then. To what we understand it from, and he reflected the same on it. But I was sat on the bow of this boat, and we were dipping down in the swell. We weren't going anywhere. We were just dipping down, and turning the pages and reading this book whilst he's talking about being on the sea, whilst I'm sitting there on the sea, like getting splashed and everything. It was just a really cool moment in time that stuck with me. Yeah. And thinking about things that I'd like to say, like coming on here, there's a quote from Edmund Hillary, who was the first guy up. So you've got there was the other one as well. So Edmund Hillary and George Mallory. So George Mallory was asked. I think it was Edmund Hillary who went up with Tenzing Norgay in 1953, but George Mallory went up, and it's debatable whether he reached the top or not. Anyway, that was in 1924. I think I'm right in saying that. And he was asked, why go? Why climb it? Why risk it? And his answer was, because it's there. It's quite a famous quote. But when it comes to diving and the sea, it is just there, isn't it? Like, I mean, for coastal countries with a coastline, it's there. It rarely changes. All right, the coastline might change a little bit, but there's the vastness of it. There's so much to, so many questions, so many unknown things. If you could go somewhere and know that you are the first person in that space to ever go there, I just think that there's that's quite a special thing. So, the idea. The idea to get down there and have a look is it's quite fun.
Yeah. Well, it's all about exploration, isn't it? And that is the thing. So, is there anything that gets you out of your comfort zone?
In what regards? Like when I'm diving?
Yeah, diving, or just generally in. Yeah. It's just one of our set questions for all our guests.
Right. Diving, I would say not. There's been like maybe a handful of incidents that have happened where I've said, okay, I need to put the tools down and come out. We need to rethink the approach to this. But I wouldn't say that's out of my comfort zone. That's just what you want to do is approach it the right way, and if it's not working the way we think, have a reset. I was scuba diving in the aquarium in Cape Town on that visit, and my girlfriend at the time was taking a photo through one of the porthole windows, and I'm sort of showing off regulators out, smiling, blowing bubbles, and I found a little shark tooth on the floor. So I'm messing around, being silly, and I put my regulator in, and I'm sort of waving to the camera again, and I get pushed forward. I'm like, okay, what's that? And then all of a sudden, I'm brushed over by a 7-foot manta ray.
Wow.
And it goes it's so soft, like velvet almost, and it goes over my face, and I've got to be honest, I shit myself. I had no idea what had pushed me forward, and then I turned and it was just sort of white and on my face, and I was like, oh my god, what the hell is this? What's going on? And then, afterwards, the instructor said, "Oh yeah, our manta ray is very friendly. Like you noticed that, didn't you?" I was like, yeah. So outside of the comfort zone, probably that. Yeah, that was one twitchy moment, shall we say?
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so final question. We're going to give you a billboard, okay, which is your space. And you can put anything you like on there. So you can be a video, it could be an image, a statement, a question, whatever. But the whole world is going to see it. It's your space. What are you going to put on it and why?
Ooh, okay. I would put on a picture of a shipwreck with on the bottom of the sea, cracked open with artifacts and treasures to be found, and then divers coming down and sharks swimming around. And I would say, want to know more? Get in touch.
Cool.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the element of the unknown and surprise.
Yeah. And reward. I think the landscape's changed quite a bit from sort of the 60s, 70s, 80s, where people would collect portholes and have garages full of ship's bells and everything, to sort of
we spoke to quite a few of them.
Yeah,
crowbars and yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not up for destruction, but when you actually think about how things happen, eventually everything's going to rust, rot, and fall apart anyway.
Yeah.
I would be more inclined to say, don't break it out, just return and try your hand at picking it off the seabed at that point.
Yeah.
And also, you're not destroying anything, but you are taking your chance. Maybe one day you get a porthole, maybe 5 times you don't. It would be a lottery. But I think don't break it, leave it as it is. But if it's there, why not?
Yeah. And it's identifying history, isn't it? We've recently seen people identifying, bombers on our local coast, and it is just that history that you then can investigate and learn.
Absolutely, yeah. The story that I'm that I hope to leave behind is one that I'm hoping will inspire my kids, to get out there and adventure themselves and find things that will hold their like I'm doing. Because of that, I think if there was I think we might have gone a little bit too far with the you can look but don't touch kind of aspect with diving. So it would be nice if you wouldn't break anything, But if it was, on the seabed and it could come up, then you could record it, post about it, put it into a collection, make it viewable to the public.
Yeah.
There's been a few bars in Britain that have taken portholes and beer glasses and ship's bells and stuff, and put them up as features with the guy that found it, the ship it belonged to, and a little name tag underneath. I wouldn't have a problem with that kind of approach to things. I think that's probably a more practical, realistic way of doing it.
Yeah.
Sustainable. There you go. Sustainable. We like sustainable.
Fair enough.
Yeah. No, well, they were good answers. Really good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
What got you guys into diving?
Go on, Gemma.
Ian.
Yeah.
Getting to know somebody, because in my life before, obviously, I met Ian, I didn't have any. I loved the beach, loved swimming, real beach bum, but scuba diving had never entered my world. And then, talking to somebody about scuba, and then you kind of think, why
and then Ian did.
Try that. It just shows also the aspect of how sometimes scuba diving is not promoted enough to all levels of people, because I'd have never have jumped in the water or thought about scuba diving. It just wasn't in my world, despite being a beachy, watery person. So that's my story.
Good on you, Ian.
One of my friends started diving, and it was something I'd wanted to do some time ago, and then kind of, life happened and never happened. And then I got to a stage where I wanted to learn to dive and also ride horses. And I started doing both at the same time, and loved it both. And after a while, I soon realized that actually the horses are nicer than most of the people that I was coming to. And I was having this great time underwater as well. And I thought, well, actually, the diving's really good, and I really enjoy it. So I basically just then did more and more diving. And chose that more as a hobby, and really enjoy it. And then got into the professional side as a dive master, and really enjoyed that, and enjoy that role and helping out, and now seeing my daughter learn as well, and going diving with her is amazing. It's a great experience to do with one of your kids. So I love it. My son hasn't got into it. He's more into his football and golf, but who knows?
How old are they?
So my son is 17 and my daughter's 14.
Okay.
And she was 13 when she did her open water.
Okay.
So, and we're just like having fun, up to about 10 meters, doing easy dives. She likes seeing all the wildlife, and we've done the Farns and Lundy, and, and Stony Cove a few times, but just trying to keep it fun, and doing fun stuff, and it's so great seeing youngsters, get into diving and getting that enthusiasm. We had quite a few youngsters this year come through wanting to do their open waters with the school, and it's brilliant because they've got no fear at all, and trying to then rein that in a little bit, but keeping the enthusiasm. So one of the dives is that it was like herding cats. You got kids go, whoa, all this awesome stuff. There's fish, and they're trying to disappear following the fish. You're like, hey, whoa, hold on, and that is amazing. To when they come out and they're like, wow, this is the best thing ever. This is awesome, and it's something I think in diving that sometimes get forgotten. You know, it's almost like, you know, when you see some people coming out of the water and you know, it's like, are you sure you're still enjoying this? You know, there's no medals, you know,
Yeah.
there's no trophies for making diving particularly hard work and a challenge and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it's you've got to enjoy diving, and I think sometimes that enjoyment as a child gets lost sometimes as we get older. And if we can somehow bottle that enthusiasm, it would be amazing, you know.
Yeah.
And it is amazing, and I think we should remember that when we go, because we're not meant to be underwater, are
No.
we? We're not meant to be there.
It is an alien environment.
It is, you know, and
Yeah.
it's amazing, and I still think it's amazing. You know, the first time I look underwater, when I first dropped down in the sea, you
Yeah.
know, to think this is what it's like, you know,
Yeah.
and you see it on telly, but to actually see it in life and see all the colours of kelp and seaweed,
Yeah.
fish, you know, and I'll never take it away from going to places like inland lakes, because they got their place, you know, for
Yeah.
divers. But you can't beat getting into the natural world and seeing stuff under the
Yeah.
waves in the sea, whether you're 10 meters down or whatever, you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
amazing.
not. Um, Historically, I've not been that fussed about going deep. If I can see something decent at 5 meters or
Yeah.
15 meters, you know,
Yeah.
that's fine. Like I don't need to tick off sort of 40 or 50 meters. But having said that, I am looking to increase my ability now as a recreational diver down
Yeah.
to 100 meters.
Yeah.
So I am going to be looking into rebreathers, and that's not because I want to hit big numbers. It's just the stuff that I want to see happens to be
Of course.
at those depths now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you sound like you're ever learning. So that's
Always.
something, you know, that's a challenge in itself, isn't it? And
Yeah.
moving to recreational to rebreather is probably the natural.
I wish I had this hunger for learning when I was a kid at school. I really do. But you know, it's a journey, so I'm there now.
Yeah, but past is past, and look where you are now. That's
Exactly. So,
and also rebreather diving, I think, is a whole great experience as well, isn't it? And you know, that silence, the reduction, you know, in off gassing, and it's just amazing. And you think where the technology is going to be going, and rebreathing allows you so much more than an open circuit. And you know, it's not for everyone, I get it, but you know, I think if you're looking to do deep stuff, that's definitely the way forward.
Yeah, and we've done a try dive on a rebreather, and it was just an absolutely amazing experience.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
So,
I was involved with the recovery, sadly, of a couple of guys that had passed away on a wreck off of Plymouth.
Recently?
2021, HMS Scylla.
Yeah.
They had, I think what had happened was...
is that the one where it filled up with sand?
So I actually went inside to do the recovery. And what had happened was they'd gone in, but they hadn't attached a line at the entry point.
Right.
And they'd penetrated quite deep and kicked up some silt and not managed to find the route out. At one point, they then did clip on, but they were already inside, and they ran the line all around the room and had a big rat's nest. I think they separated at that point. One guy squeezed through a hole, ditched his kit, and went up to the surface, raised the alarm. Wow. And then the other two sadly didn't make it out. but the police that I was working with and called in to assist with, they weren't allowed to go inside the wreck. They were on like a half mask or a full face mask, but without a hard hat.
Yeah.
So their insurance wasn't adequate for them to penetrate. So the aquarium that actually owns Scylla got in touch with one of the companies that I worked for, and with my background, they rang me up and said, "Look, this has happened. Do you want to help out?" And I said to my fiance, I said, "Yeah, I think it's a brilliant thing to do. I really want to do it." And she asked why, and I said, because we're not going to change the outcome, but we are going to return them to their family, so they can, give them a, the funeral and the burial and start their grieving process and that. But I think it just highlights the case of skill fade. If you have some time away, and you were this level before, and you've had some time away, you're not still going to be at this level. So
no, definitely not.
Build back up to it, and don't be afraid of it. It is time consuming, and with time is cost. So it is going to be costly. It is going to be time consuming, but just don't rush the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And always keep practicing your skills.
Always practice your skills. So if I'm doing a couple of dives, I'm always checking my mask replace, flood off, put back on, get my buoyancy right. I love it. I really love it when I'm finning along and I want to go up a level. So instead of putting air into the suit or into the BCD, just slightly inflating my lungs a little bit more, and then just feeling that gradual incline so I can go up. Like having that sort of trim, it really is like flying. It's magical.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, no, it is an amazing thing. Yeah, definitely.
We've been wanting to, and we haven't done it yet because we've always been doing other stuff. But one of the things I want to practice and have a go at is something a previous guest showed on Instagram.
Okay.
Patrick Woodman, have you?
Nope, not come across.
Technical, Rebreathe the diver, technical cave diver, based
does a lot on fitness, and also he is a test diver for, I've got to get this right, JJCCR, I think.
Okay,
might be wrong with that, but check. But anyway, he did a buoyancy display, and with no fins, and what he done was. It looks easy. It looks really easy, but I'll tell you it's not. And he,
you say he's on Instagram.
It's on Instagram, where he shared it as a reel, and very, very good. I thought what he done, and it was just showing his breathing, and without fins, and holding perfect. You could draw a ruler underneath. Amazing,
Brilliant.
What was his name? Patrick Woodman. We're WIDMAN. Yeah.
WIDMAN.
Yeah. If you're not following him, for anyone who's listening, definitely do follow him. Shares quite a lot on about fitness for diving as well.
Yeah, but he's definitely a bit of a role model, isn't he? And especially because he promotes dive fitness as well. He's big into his running as well.
Right.
So, and again, we all know diving and fitness go hand in hand.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you want that good circulation to get everything.
Yeah.
So, did you get the guys out in the end of the wreck?
Yeah. So,
because I believe that wasn't the first, was it?
No. So
somebody else had.
Back in 2007, and I think it was sunk in 2004. I don't know if there was. I think there were two other incidents that have happened where they've people have lost their life with it. But yeah, these guys were recovered. Two of my colleagues were the ones to actually bring them out, and I went in and brought out all of the kit. I went in looking for one of them, but HMS Scilly is actually quite a big wreck, and it was I think I had 5 rooms that I could check, and I didn't find them in that time, but I did find the kit that had been dropped, and cylinders that had been left at the bottom of a set of ladders. It was eerie for when you think about what it was, but it was also a massive source of adrenaline and excitement.
Right.
Not sort of in a not to be morbid.
No.
Not in a morbid way. I mean, but I mean like
it's closure, I guess, is it as well?
It was almost, well, I mean, we had the police there. It was essentially a crime scene until declared an accident.
Yeah.
And sort of seeing the police and being involved in assisting them with everything was quite a eye opener from my perspective with it. So
yeah, I bet.
It was. It wasn't anything like I'd never done anything quite like that before. From a diving point of view, I mean, we had similar stuff in Afghanistan, but I mean that's a different podcast. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was exciting, and it was nice to do something for a diver, for their family.
And we should remember that.
That was the way I viewed it, at least. Anyway.
From what I remember, I think there'd been dredging there recently, and I think some of the sand from the dredging had gone into it, and it was heavier silted than normal.
Right. So I haven't heard about the dredging. I mean, it's very, very possible. I went there after 2 weeks, and then we went back again at 7 weeks to do the recoveries of each one, because we found one at the 2 week point, and we found the other one at the 7 week point. And in between, I actually went back down to Plymouth to do a dive on a nearby wreck. It was one of the Freedom vessels that had been made very quickly during the war, and it had struck a mine at Plymouth Sound, and instead of being accepted into the harbour, had carried on sailing away under instruction. We can't afford you to sink in the harbour, so bugger off, basically. James Eagle Lane.
Okay.
James Eagle Lane. Yeah. And in the email that I sent to you, there was a picture in there of a monkfish.
Yes.
And I'm just going to get it up on my phone, hopefully. I'm going to hold that up to the camera. Now, when I first popped up, because this was on top of one of the gunnels.
Wow.
And
they're an ugly looking fish, aren't they?
The thing that I actually saw was in. And I didn't see the mouth, I didn't see the eyes, the nose, or anything else. I just saw this little bit that looked like a plant or a bit of seaweed, and I thought, oh, that's a different color to everything around it. Oh, look, there's another one next to it. And then I looked up a little bit onto the bar that actually turns out to be the bottom jaw of this fish, and I was like, that looks like a mouth, doesn't it? And then I realized that bar has got teeth, and then I was like, oh my god, that thing's a monster. And like they've
got big heads.
A meter, they're about 1.5 meters long.
They're also called the anglerfish, aren't they?
I don't know.
Yeah, they've got like a little thing.
It's got a thing on the top of its head. Yeah. So is that not a monkfish? I've been calling that a monkfish for.
No, yeah, it's a monkfish. Yeah.
It is a monkfish.
Gemma knows it well.
Also an angler.
I know my fish. Yeah. So yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, that was Gemma loves a fish.
Spectacular. Didn't know we had anything like that in British waters.
Quite tasty.
Yeah.
Nice with chips.
Yeah. I've heard because I
bit of garlic.
Curious about this thing, so I Google it, and apparently, yeah, very very nice eating.
Yeah.
This guy didn't get eaten on that day, not by me at least, anyway. But yeah, that was I put my hand up, and maybe his mouth was here, and my hand was there.
Wow!
And he just stayed. He didn't twitch. Didn't move.
Lucky.
He was cool as a cucumber.
That's good.
Amazing. Yeah, no, all good stuff.
Yeah.
So if people want to find out more about you, where is the best place for them to search you out?
Right. I am on Instagram. It's actually my account as a magician. So it's Askham Magic, spelled ASKHAM Magic. So feel free to check me out on there. I am looking at starting a YouTube channel that will document my adventures. It won't just be diving. It will be a little bit of product review and stuff like that. But mostly it's just going to be, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm taking. This is why I'm taking it. This is what I intend to do. This is me doing it. This is the mop-up after. So it'll be sort of a planning phase, execution phase, and a post what did we learn, what did we do phase, kind of thing. And I'm going away. We've got Christmas coming up, and then I'm going away to Saudi in end of December, early January. So I will probably set it up while I'm in Saudi Arabia. I'll upload some videos that I've created already, and sort of go from there. But I'll make an announcement. I'm on LinkedIn as Edward Askham Spencer.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram, as I've said, so I'll probably post it in those two places.
Excellent.
And
okay,
we'll see how it goes.
But, yeah.
We'll pop the links in the show notes so that
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Follow you and keep up to date with your adventures. So
yeah, great.
Yeah, but it's been
fantastic.
That's been really good.
Yeah, really, really interesting to talk to you and about the variety of what you've done. It's incredible, inspirational. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, thank you for being on the BiG Scuba podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. So that was Edward Askham Spencer. We got to say thank you very much for coming on. And he is Askham Magic as well. You'll find him on Instagram, LinkedIn, and on the YouTube too.
Yes.
So that was really good. Hope you enjoyed that. And just in time for Christmas.
Yes, very interesting guest, full of lots of variety.
Yeah, it's certainly done lots, and interesting what you said at the end as well about. So I remember reading about those guys who didn't make it out of that wreck. So that was interesting, and served his country as well. So brilliant for that.
Yeah, and obviously seen a lot on the other side. We're in Afghanistan, I should imagine as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it did make us think about our previous magician as well, Chef Anton.
Yes, we'll have to put a link up to that as well to link it in with this podcast as well, because that was a really entertaining well. And we even performed some magic tricks, didn't we, underwater? We learned how
I think you did. I don't remember me really catching on to the trick, but I think
with elastic
you
bands.
certainly did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So but no, it's just shows you what you can get up to underwater.
All sorts. And we've got to say, before people write in, complain about me mentioning having fish and chips and everything else.
Yeah, well, they mightn't they?
Other fish are available, sustainable as well. And,
we have got a fan of the podcast out there that had a bit of a grumble at us, didn't he?
Well, I just think if you're going to cook fish with, a bit of garlic, plenty of salt and vinegar. It's a lovely old job.
Yeah. Any recipes recommended? Any monkfish recipes?
Oh, so going to get a letter of complaint again.
Well, we'll just embrace it. That's the way to view it. So.
Yeah, if you have got a letter of complaint, write to deeperblue@deeperblue.com and send it to them. I'm sure they'll listen.
Anyway, can you tell this is our last podcast of 2024?
We've done this wrong. This is the last one this year. We should have really had a glass of something cold with us.
We should have done, shouldn't we?
To celebrate the year, because when we look back, it's been a good year. Lots of people.
We'll have to maybe do a little bit of a review at some point. We might have some time over Christmas and have a sit down for a bonus episode.
I think we've already got a lot of things to do over Christmas.
Our list is very long.
It certainly is. But before we go, we do want to say thank you for listening and downloading. If you're listening to this in December when it's going out, then go back. There's a whole year. So in fact, there's nearly 5 years worth of podcast episodes to listen to. And we want to say thank you for sticking with us. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening. And these episodes, we don't do these episodes just alone. We do it with the great support and help that we get with all these episodes with our great friends at NARC.90 who are
beyond technical.
It's almost like we rehearsed this.
Teamwork. So NARC.90, they're a UK-based company, but they are specialists in all things diving and dive computers. They're a service centre for shearwater and ratio. So if you've got any questions about recreational technical diving, they are the people to contact and ask.
Yeah, and I can tell you now, right? Yeah, you can get cheap products that are made and mass produced in China, and they'll be at threepence for. But do you want to put your life on the risk, of something that's made mass produced and really cheap, and being asked pennies for? Because I can tell you now, if not make a product, it will last you a lifetime, and it's well made. And it's a quality product. So look at NARC.90, go on their website. They've got a great name in the diving world. It's been built up over 30 odd years.
Yeah.
And they're well known. And, go there now, get your products. There's still time just about to get, if there's a Christmas present, they've got things that you can buy as stock and fillers like rubber surrounds for your dive computers, and you right up to parts for your rebreather and things like that. So
even if it's a slate, for all budgets, there's something there. And at the time we're recording this, they're just promoting their Pathfinder Gen X strobe, which is bulletproof in the diving world and rated to hundreds of meters. So
well, this is what I'm saying about if you can get a strobe that'll cost you 10 quid, and but hey, you ought to put your life on the risk of something that costs really cheap and mass produced in China. Or
can't hear you.
What?
Oh, you disappeared then.
For the people who know, they go to NARC.90 and they buy their quality, well made, professionally made, and they'll stand by their products. And you've got a problem with it, they'll sort it out because they've got the top customer service. John and Brent been in the business for 30 odd years, and that's why they built the business up that they've got.
Yeah, they believe in products, they're divers, and they only promote products.
That person who put the comment on today on this, like, really? Yeah, that's why people go to Marks and Spencer's, because they get like quality products. There's a difference.
Well, there's a difference between Waitrose and.
I get my pants from Marks and Spencer's. Okay. You go there because you want a quality product. You go to NARC.90 because you want a quality.
Exactly.
You go to Primarché because you want something cheap, and that only lasts 5 minutes.
Yeah. But everybody's got their choice. But we support NARC.90.
and we love them. So there we go. Anything else we need to cover before we go and have some Christmas cake? And
if you're listening to this in December 2025, we wish you not December 2024.
Wow, have we gone through? Gemma's already been on the gin.
No. It's been a long day. So if you are listening to this in December 2024, we wish you a happy Christmas and we look forward to catching up in 2025.
Certainly do. So on that note, this was
the BiG Scuba podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading.
Now that does wrap up today's episode of the BiG Scuba podcast. But if you want to hear more from the podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button depending on what platform you are listening on. That way you will never miss an episode from us. But if you are listening on Apple Podcasts and did enjoy what you heard today, we would really appreciate it if you head to the show page to leave a 5-star rating and review. It really does help us. If you do, please take a screenshot of that review and send it to us on Instagram, and we'll give you a shout out to say a big thank you. If you have any questions for us or anything that has been mentioned in today's episode, be sure to reach out to us on any of our social media platforms or send us an email. The links are in the show notes. We will get back to you no matter what. If you have made it to this point in the episode, we both want to say a big thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.